says, by faith Noah, being warned of the Most High of things not seen yet, moved with fear. All right, and like I said, fear is basically honoring, reverence, honor, and respecting the Most High. It says, moved with fear, prepared an ark to the saving of his house. All right, and some brothers, maybe themselves and maybe their families, wife and kids, but ultimately, the scriptures say, seek out your own salvation with fear and trembling. But basically, Noah was an example. Noah was an example of his saving his household, because you had Noah, you had his 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and then you had his each of those 4 men's wives. So that was 8 people that were basically saved from the flood. By the which he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness which is by faith. All right, so Noah condemned the world because you had the wicked generation that basically got destroyed. It's like you got a wicked generation of Israel that's going to ultimately be destroyed, along with the Edomites and the other nations, which in the kingdom, the shoe is going to be on the other foot, so to speak. The Israelites who were slaves and were under the so-called white man and other nations, they're going to be rulership in the kingdom, according to the scriptures. It says, by faith, Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should have received for inheritance, obeyed, and he went out, not knowing whither he went. By faith he sojourned in the land of promise, as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. All right, because Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that was the line that the Most High chose to give his law, statutes, and commandments, the covenant, and ultimately salvation to. It says, but he looked for a city which had foundations, whose builder and maker is the Most High. Through faith also Sarah herself received strength to conceive seed, and was delivered of a child when she was past age, because she judged him faithful who had promised. All right, just like Sarah, she thought she was she was barren, she was old, but ultimately the Most High allowed her to have a child, which was Isaac. So it says, therefore sprang there even of one, and him as good as dead, so many as the stars of the sky in multitude, and as the sands which be by the seashore innumerable. So ultimately, even though ultimately Israel is going to be as the sands of the sea, the Most High, even though Israel is a small people, the Most High is going to multiply Israel to be as the sands of the sea. It's Hebrews 11 and 13. It says, these all died in faith, not having received the promises, meaning they didn't see the kingdom yet. They died doing the work of the Yahweh Shem Yahushai, doing what the Most High commanded them to do, but they didn't see the kingdom of heaven, because that's what we're ultimately waiting for, is the kingdom of heaven. It says, but have seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them, and embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. All right, because basically right now we're basically Jerusalem as a people before a place. So ultimately the Most High is going to gather, he's going to gather the strangers, when I say that, I'm talking about the Israelite foreigners, because Israel was scattered among the nations. That's one of the curses in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, is that we're going to be scattered among the nations. All right. It says, for they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country. All right. we're seeking our own, our own land because, the Israelites, the people on this side, we don't have our own flag. We don't have our own, our language. We don't know our language, which is Lashawan Kodash, which is the holy tongue. Our language, our flag, our land. We don't have that right now. We're basically, pilgrims, like I was basically saying, like the scriptures were saying. It says, verse 15, and truly, if they had been mindful of that country from whence they came out, they might have had opportunity to have returned. But now they desire a better country, that is, in heaven and heavenly. Wherefore the Most High is not ashamed to be called their power. All right, because right now, like we always bring out, a lot of our people, 2/3 of our people, they're into all these different philosophies. They're into Islam, Buddhism, Jehovah's Witnesses, Seventh-day Adventists, Pentecost, Baptists, Methodists, AME, all these philosophies, and they're not admitting that they're Hebrew Israelites, the Lord's chosen people. They're not admitting that the Lord's name is Yahweh, which means He is, He am, He be, He exists. They don't admit that His Son's name is Yahweh Shah. Yah meaning He, and Hawah Shah meaning delivered. All right, they're not acknowledging it. It says, but now they desire a better country, that is in heavenly. Wherefore the Most High is not ashamed to be called their power, for He hath prepared for thee a city. All right. All right. So it says, verse 17. It says, by faith Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Isaac, and he that had received the promise offered up his only begotten son. All right, because that's referred to as when Abraham had to have a sacrifice, and the Most High, his orders, his instructions was to sacrifice Isaac, but he didn't want to do that. But ultimately, he was fearing the Most High, and doing what the Most High instructed him to do, which is to sacrifice his son. All right, and the Most High put in Abraham ultimately did that. All right. And that's an example, like the scriptures say, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning. And that's basically, what we're supposed to do with these scriptures. We're supposed to basically, emulate what the scriptures say, and emulate, the holy men that are in the scriptures, their ways and actions, what they did, all right? And that's what we're supposed to be doing. It's, the same thing that these holy men did, all right? Because ultimately, everything that's taken away from us, the Most High is going to basically restore unto us 100-fold. So it's up to us to, have faith in the Most High that He's going to, keep his half of the deal, all right? And the Most High is a righteous power, and He's going to do that, all right? You don't have the same thing with, like, say, Esau. And Esau, I'm talking about the so-called white man, all right? He'll give you something in exchange for you doing something for him, but he could take that away. Like, for example, not to get off topic, but these sellout Israelites that you have, and that Esau gives financial, monetary gain to, but if they don't do what he says, he could take it away. And even if they do what he says, he could still, stab him in the back. So the Most High isn't like that. The Most High is diametrically opposed. He's 360 degrees, Salaki, I'm sorry. He's 180 degrees from where Esau is. It says, 17, Hebrews 11 and 17, it says, by faith Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Isaac, and he that had received the promise offered up his only begotten son, of whom it was said, that in Isaac shall thy seed be called. You know, and the Most High is just testing his men. Like that was an example right there. You know, and sometimes the Most High basically tests us by, you know, whether it's your woman, whether it's, you know, your children. The Most High, you know, tries to test you to see how faithful you are to him. All right? So in verse 18, it says, of whom it was said that in Isaac shall thy seed be called, according that the Most High was able to raise him up even from the dead, from whence also he received him in a figure. It says, by faith Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come. All right, and what that's referring to, all right, because basically, you know, there was blessings, and there was blessings to both Jacob and both Esau. You know, like for example, Esau's blessing was the sword. You know, which we always get into. Esau's blessing is a sword, which meaning he was going to be able to, you know, go throughout the earth and basically be able to conquer the different nations. You know, that's why Esau, the so-called white man, the Edomites, they were able to go to different countries and basically take them over, colonize them, set up democracy, set up their own, you know, statutes or whatever. And, you know, he was going to have the best, the fatness of the earth. So everything, the land, everything, the natural resources, Esau was going to be able to take them, seize these things. And it says, and ultimately Jacob was the one who was going to receive the kingdom of heaven. Because like the scriptures say in our 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter, it says Salaki, Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followed. All right, so 2nd Ezra 6, 8 to 9, it said, matter of fact, I'm gonna get there real quick just to summarize what I'm trying to say real quick. It's 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 7. I'll start at 7. It says, then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the time, or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? It said, and he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob held first the heel of Esau. All right, this is a depiction of what I'm referring to, because basically what that's talking about is Jacob, which meaning the father of the 12 tribes of Israel, is going to basically take down Esau, which is the father of the Edomites, the so-called white man, out of rulership. Meaning we, the Israelites, the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, we're going to come back in power. You know, it's going to come a time when our slave master is going to be our servant, our slave, right? And that's why it behooves you to come back to the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, so you'll be part of that, you know, 1/3, you know, you'll receive a position in the kingdom, you know? But ultimately, like the scriptures say, all Israel shall be saved in the kingdom, right? So it says, verse 9, it says, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. All right, so Esau is the end of the world. Esau's kingdom is this world right here, this present rulership right here. So it says, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. All right, so Jacob is his rulership is after Esau. So that's what, you know, what I was referring to. What I was getting at right here, where it says, hold up, let me go back real quick. It says, Hebrews 11 and 20. It says, by faith Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come. All right, so that's summing up what I was referring to, the blessings. All right, which you know, if you want to look that up, it's the blessings of Jacob and Esau. Esau is Genesis 27, 38 to 39. And Jacob's blessing. Well, I mean, matter of fact, I'll just read it real quick. Just real quick. It So Genesis chapter 27, verse 38. And Esau said unto his father, he's talking about Isaac, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. And by the sword shalt thou live, and shall serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. Alright, and his sword, like I was referring to, Esau, sword represents the instrument of death. You know, that's why Esau, he had the sword, and that ultimately he developed it into, you know, guns, you know, the Germans with the missiles and bombs and nuclear technology. Okay, so that was Esau's blessing, and Esau, you know, having the fatness of the earth. Like Esau having military bases in all these different countries. America, which is Babylon according to the Bible, having all these military bases all over the world, all over the country. You know, that's part of Esau's blessing. So it says, and Esau, it's like verse, let me see, where's I at? Yeah, then Esau, you know, Esau, it was a point in time where Esau came into rulership, you know, but then the Israelites took him down during the Roman Empire with Septimius Severus. But then, what you read in you know, Revelations, it talks about the deadly wound was healed, but then Esau came back into rulership. But Esau's in rulership right now, but then ultimately, you know, Israel is going to take Esau down permanently. All right, Esau is going to be taken down permanently. It says, by faith, Jacob, when he was dying, blessed both the son. Oh yeah, slide. I'm sorry. I was Genesis. I'm about to read Jacob's blessing now. Slide, bear with me for a second. It says there, started 27, and he came near and kissed him. He's talking about Isaac, and kissed Jacob. And he smelled the smell of his raiment and blessed him and said, see, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field which the Lord hath blessed. It says, therefore, the Most High give thee of the dew of heaven and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. And what that's talking about is because, you know, when you have corn, you have a lot of, vegetation, fields, and all that. And then it says, wine. That's another thing. You know, you gotta have land. You know, and in the ancient world, that was a sign of, like wealth and all that, having land. You know, because right now, our people don't have anything. You know, we live in apartments. We live in small buildings, house to house. You know, we don't have these things right now, but ultimately the Most High is going to bless us with this. We have these little ass houses that are next to each other. Like, for example, when I used to live in Lancaster, and, one of the days, me and the brother, you know what I'm saying, we had to go to Lancaster. And, in Lancaster, you got Amish people, right? You know, they're basically, for the most part, Edomites, right? And you got houses, and you got land, fields, cornfields, all these kinds of vegetations as far as the eye can see. You know, that's how Esau's living right now. But ultimately, we're gonna have, you know, a hundredfold that. You know, and that's the opposite of what we have. You know, them, you got one house and all this land, but that's not how the Israelites are living right now. Because we're under the curse. We're not blessed right now. All right, but ultimately, the Israelites, Jacob's blessing, that's what we're gonna have in the near future. All right, this is verse 29. It says, Genesis 27 and 29. It said that let the people serve thee, and nations bow down to thee. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. Cursed be every one that curseth thee, blessed be he that blesseth thee. All right, and basically, you know, it's going to come a time when the nation of Israel is going to have dominion over the other 17 nations. When you read Genesis, the 10th chapter, it talks about the other 7 nations, which stem from Shem, Ham, and Japheth, right? And Jacob, or the 12 tribes coming out of Shem, and then you have the other nations coming out of those other, you know, those 3 sons. All right, and those are the nations that the nation of Israel is going to ultimately rule over. I mean, that's pretty much it on that. I'll go back to Hebrews chapter 11, verse 20. It says, by faith Jacob, when he was in dying, blessed both the sons of Joseph and worship leaning upon the top of his staff. All right, and basically what that's referring to is, you know, because the original 12 tribes, you know, you had Joseph, and then you had Dan. When you read the book of Revelations in the seventh Revelation, the 7th chapter, it has these names in there because Dan was taken out because of idolatry. Then you had Joseph, the 2 sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. You had them replace Joseph. Okay. I need Eric. Right. By faith, Joseph, when he died, made mention of the departing of the children of Israel and gave commandment concerning his bones. By faith, Moses, when he was born, was hid 3 months of his parents because they saw he was a proper child. Because they saw he was a proper child, and they not afraid of the king's commandment. Because, you know, it was commanded that, you know, basically the Pharaoh commanded that the sons of the Israelites be basically put to death, you know. It says, verse 24, by faith Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of the Most High than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. All right, and that's the same, you know, faith that we're supposed to have right here. Is we're supposed to choose rather to suffer the affliction with our people, because, you know, that's a perfect example about how, you know, now, you know, you got Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, which they would rather, you know, receive status, money, monetary gain, you know, money, power, respect in this society, than to choose to call themselves Israelites, to fear the Most High, keep His commandments, and suffer the afflictions with His people. So it says, by faith Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of the Most High than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season, esteeming the reproach of Hamashiach greater riches than the treasures of Egypt, for he had respect unto the recompense of the reward. All right, so it it says, basically the reproach of Yahweh Shai. So basically, like, ultimately, we're supposed to basically, carry the cross of Yahweh Shai, suffer the same afflictions that Yahweh Shai suffered. He's our example of, how he was afflicted and what he went through, but he, showed integrity, didn't turn his back onto the Most High, because, that's the same thing that we're supposed to acknowledge now, is that by us suffering these afflictions, we know that we're going to be heirs to the kingdom of heaven. I just started. This is verse 27. It says, by faith he forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured at seeing him who is invisible. So it says, by faith he forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king. All right, so basically, we forsook Babylon and this society, the riches, like I keep saying, status, being looked upon as being great and all this stuff like that, because the scriptures say that he that is exalted shall be humbled, and he that is humbled shall be exalted. So that stuff doesn't faze us. We take it on the chin of having people look down upon us and look on us and despise us and all that. So it says, by faith he forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured as seeing him who is invisible. All right, and we care more. We have fear of the Most High and not fear of men, and fear of what Esau could do to us out here.
This is the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 24. It says, for we are saved by hope, but hope that is seen is not hope. For what a man seeth, why doth he yet hope for?
Yeah, and I mean, if you hope for something, you don't physically see it. It's something that you gotta have faith for. Faith in it. And like I said, faith and works goes hand in hand. Like I said, James, the second chapter, which says faith without works is dead. So you gotta have both. It's a 50-50 thing. In order to show your faith, you gotta do something. By you doing something, you're showing your faith. And when I say doing something, I'm talking about the 613 laws done to the best of your ability.
Verse 25, it says, but if we hope for that we see not, then do we with patience wait for it.
Yeah, and it's about patience, because a lot of people lose patience. A lot of people, they say, look at what I went through or whatever. I'm tired of this. I'm saying I caught too much hell or whatever. But like the Most High, he's basically looking for somebody that has patience, and patience means to endure afflictions. All right, and that's what it's all about. Because like our elders, the elders of Great Millstone, they're our modern day examples. There are our modern day examples of having patience, because they've been in it like longer. Like I'm like 30 years old. This brother's older than me. I'm saying? So like I'm 31 years old. This brother's older than me. Like it's people that have been teaching like that long, and they still haven't given up. Went back into the world. No matter what afflictions came upon them in their lives, they haven't. They haven't fainted in the sight of their conversation with the Most High. When I say conversation, I'm talking about how you conduct yourself, your walk business. So they haven't fainted. You have a lot of guys in Israel that have fainted and went back into the world. But, Lord willing, me and his brother, we stay diligent and do what we got to do and keep pushing his word until the Most High tells us, puts it on. The famine of the word comes basically. Can you just read that last part, the last verse?
It says, this is the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 25. It says, but if we hope for that we see not, then do we with patience wait for it.
Yeah, so we don't see the kingdom of heaven. We don't see the so-called white man, which is Esau according to the Bible, which are the Edomites, which are the enemies of the nation of Israel, who the Most High hates, you know, according to his own his own prerogative, you know, so to speak. We don't see them, yeah, his own will, you know, we don't see them physically down beneath our feet with our feet in their neck, them licking up the dust, but we through faith know that it's gonna basically happen, all right? So, you know, we see the prophecies coming to pass. We see the correlation between the nation of Rome going the actual Roman Empire going down or deteriorating. We see the same thing, you know, signs with America deteriorating and all that. And we see that that's happening right now.
We don't see these nuclear missiles in the air yet. But we know it's going to happen.
Yeah, like something I thought about too. It's a scripture I believe in Revelation where it talks about, you know, it's talking about basically Esau making fire rain from heaven. Like you had the other day, I saw some of the news. It was talking about how the U.S. You know, like in Syria, I believe it's Syria, right? They had phosphorus, which is like they got, I think Saddam Hussein, they got on Saddam Hussein, I think, for using phosphorus, because I think it's illegal in the United Nations or something, the Geneva Convention or something, to use phosphorus to, you know, phosphorus to basically rain out the sky. Because phosphorus, they shoot out the sky and it lands on civilians and all that shit. It burns through your skin. It can burn through your inside internal organs and all that. I mean, that's the shit, you know, that's the shit Esau does. That's how fucking wicked he is, you know what I'm saying? They'll get on other people for doing so-called terrorist acts and all this, but Donald Trump and all the, you know, people in the United States, Babylon and all that, they'll do that to other countries, you know, on civilians and all this stuff like that, but then you'll get on other people for doing stuff, you know what I mean? She'll be doing the same wicked ass shit.